Nelson Peltz is once again the thorn in Bob Iger's side. Welcome back to Views with Hughes at Jennifer News. This is Hughes, and today's story of the hour: Nelson Peltz versus Bob Iger, battle of Disney board seats. The proxy battle continues. So recently, Nelson Peltz has been on a CNBC interview. I'm pretty sure many of you have already seen, as well as the fact that he's discussed what's actually going on in the company and then also challenging the different reporters. But I'm not going to talk about that part. I'm just going to talk about more about what's happening between Bob Iger and Disney, as well as Nelson Peltz, and what's the update and what's going to happen next, or what may happen. So let me know your thoughts about this, comments below. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. So we've seen from time that Nelson Peltz has actually been, a big factor in all of this, where he's actually made it known about his disapproval about what Bob Iger, how he's handling the company itself based on the movie releases, sales, so on and so forth, okay? And Bob Iger's time as head of Disney is actually facing a big challenge from Nelson Peltz. Now, Peltz actually became a strong player in the business battle itself. Now, the role that he's playing, I'm going to explain that a little later, and what he wants to do with Disney, as I explained before as well. Now, someone who wants to actually change the company's direction, Peltz is trying to actually steer Disney in a new way. And being what's called an activist shareholder means someone who is actively trying to change how the company is run, okay? Nothing political, nothing politically biased, so on and so forth, okay? It's just that they usually think that the company is not being managed well, or is not as successful as it should be. Now, Peltz, believing this, started a campaign in January with his group Trian, and he called it, Restore the Magic, where he thinks Disney has lost a special touch under Iger. Now, Disney's leaders quickly said no to Peltz's campaign. Now, Iger and his team refused to let Peltz join Disney's board, which led to a short fight. Okay, so in business speak, this is kind of a fight this kind of fight happens when someone who's like Peltz trying to get other shareholders to replace the current board members with their choice, as I explained before in previous videos. And to calm things down for at least a while, Bob Iger actually agreed to some of Peltz's immediate requests, and Peltz agreed to wait and see if Disney got better under Iger. So what that simply means is that with Bob Iger basically made some promises before to go ahead and show that he can turn things around and that the company can actually make better profits and stuff. But what happened after that? Well, we've actually seen a number of failures back to back, okay? Now, Disney didn't even improve as hoped. Now, under Iger, the company's problems actually got worse. The board, which is made up of those who were picked by Iger himself, didn't even hold him responsible, as one CNBC article showed. Now, this also shows that the board isn't working well and is not looking after the interests of the shareholders. Now, Peltz recently asked for more seats on Disney's board for himself, as well as Jay Rizzullo, who is a former Disney CFO. And Peltz and Rizzullo are thought to be better for the job than the current board members, even though many people saw the board as being diverse and including several women. Now, not that it even matters and everything, is more along the lines of the merit of if they have what it takes to be a qualified member of the board, not because of their demographics, but simply are they able to get the job done. And it's like many media outlets are reporting that one of these women was Iger's wife's dormmate. And it also makes people wonder how board members are actually chosen. Now, back on January 16th, Iger and his board actually said no to Peltz and Rizzullo, and they told Disney shareholders to vote for the current board members, who are Iger's friends, in the April vote. Now, the board said no to Peltz because they think he doesn't have the good ideas for Disney. In other words, he doesn't have their politically driven interests. And they also said that he lacked experience in media and technology, where Peltz actually stated that he has experience in that. And they're worried about his partnership with Ike Perlmutter, who has a bit of a complicated past with Disney Iger, as I've shared in past videos. Now, the board statement seems like they're actually trying to brush Peltz off, and it points out that Peltz doesn't even have the experience in areas where Disney's board has failed. Okay. Now it also shows that Iger's concerned about Perlmutter, who's a strong businessman, and the drop in Marvel success after Perlmutter left and Iger's broken promises to Peltz added to the tension itself. Now, even with this rejection, the fight is not over, okay? Disney's shareholders will decide who's going to be on the board, and Peltz is actually talking directly to them, where he has restarted the Restore the Magic website. Now, the website itself shows Disney's poor performance and lately compared to others and to the S&P 500. It also shows that the current board isn't really invested in Disney's success, unlike the Triangle Group. Now, Peltz is also speaking out. He actually spoke out on CNBC, criticizing Iger and his board. And in the next few weeks, the Triangle Group is actually going to keep pointing out their mistakes and talk to Disney shareholders. Now, this particular situation is actually tough for Iger and his board, as people are actually starting to think that Disney's problems are because of Iger, not the previous leader, Bob Chapek. So, yeah. I've actually said that too, that it wasn't even Chapek's fault. No, it was all the fault of Bob Iger. I mean, he's the one that made those decisions. He made the creative decisions to go ahead and put this type of movie out there, as well as to add, that particular political agenda to the movie itself, But the fact of the matter is, all these flops are thanks to Bob Iger's decisions, And he forced people like Kathleen Kennedy, as well as, Kevin Feige, to go ahead and interject these political biases and woke agendas into these movies, where it left a bad taste in the audience's mouth. Now, the big test for Iger is dealing with the real issues that Peltz is often bringing up. Now, the future of Disney is actually in the hands of the shareholders. While big shareholders like BlackRock, Vanguard, and so on and so forth might support Iger, other shareholders have the power to make a big change. And voting out Bob Iger's board and bringing in Peltz's choices might be needed to actually help Disney improve. Okay. Now, in the end, the fight that Disney's facing shows a bigger story about how companies are ran, who's responsible, and the influence of shareholders who want change. Now, it's going to also be interesting to see Disney shareholders react, and if they agree with Peltz's plan for Disney's future. And if they actually agree, then the magic will be restored. No pun intended. But yeah, the ball is in Bob Iger's court. Or is it really? Because like I stated, it's mainly up to the shareholders. Okay, so far we got, like I said, BlackRock is the biggest shareholder, but guess what? Peltz has 10% of the owns 10%. I think the shares or the board seats or so far and everything. Now he's actually gaining ground even further, because of the simple fact that he's actually able to go ahead and try to speak out with people and reach out to people who are on the boards and stuff. Bob Iger brought in a few people, including Josh Stone and stuff, to actually go up against Peltz. And guess what? Seems to me they failed. All right. Otherwise, Nelson Peltz still wouldn't be talking today. He wouldn't be being interviewed from CNBC, and he actually handled himself well in that interview as well. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts about this. Keep the conversation going. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, so that way you be notified of future uploads and updates. Until then, peace.